Hey, what's going on, y'all? Thanks for tuning into my channel, The Stone Mandalorian. I'm the Stone Mando, or you can call me Cody, whichever. And today I'm going to be taking a look at Boba Fett from the Black Series, Star Wars The Black Series. And as you can see, this is in the subline of Return of the Jedi. Got a beautiful green color here on the box. And I've had this figure, this is probably like my fifth or sixth figure, I believe, when I first started collecting them close to 2 years ago. And when I first started out, I was an inbox collector, but as I've said on a couple of my other videos and reviews, I'm going through my collection and freeing them from their plastic prisons, and I've just found I've come to have a lot more enjoyment for these figures out of the box. So, yeah, like I said, I'm just going through and opening a lot of my collection and getting them loose on my shelf. They're a lot more fun, and I can put them in dynamic poses, mess around with the accessories. It's just a lot of fun, and I can get a closer look at the actual articulation, some of the sculpting on like the back of the figure and stuff like that. But this figure did come out in 2021, and I believe it retailed for $30, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been deluxe price. It might have been 33.99. I'm not sure, but I love this version of Boba Fett. The ESB is a little more plain. It doesn't have quite as much paint going on as this figure does, but I'm really excited to get this thing open and take a look at some of the modern articulation that it does have and the freaking wicked ass accessories it also has as well. So let me quit babbling on and let's get this thing open. All right, y'all, here's Boba Fett out of the box, and I hate that I waited so long to open this figure up. I see what people consider this one of the best figures in the line. Definitely the best Boba Fett in my opinion. Some people prefer the Empire Strikes Back because it's the more kind of iconic look. It was the first look at Boba Fett in the movies, besides the all white prototype that they were going for, like the Super Commando Stormtrooper that his concept design was at first. But I actually prefer this Return of the Jedi. Let me get this spin while I'm talking. I actually prefer the Return of the Jedi because I like the darker green. I love the blue and yellow and red on the jetpack. It's just very vibrant and pops. And I just love the vibe of this costume. The one thing it's missing that it could use is probably like a dark wash on the flight suit itself. It would just help bring out the pockets and the wrinkles and the folds of the pants and stuff like that. It would bring out those sculpting details a lot more. I love this flame accessory. That really awesome. That this was a deluxe figure, so $33.99. Also, the blast accessories that came with it. I love those. Just really adds to the effect of him when you put him on a stand and he's floating. It just adds to the whole effect of the kind of float he's got going on. But just awesome accessories. He does come with also his blaster cut in half as well. Pretty cool, and like a grapnel, like his grapnel rope or whatever. It's pretty cool. It wraps around his wrist. There's not much to that, but decent articulation. I'll go over all this in just a minute. Really decent articulation on this figure. Much better than the kind of A-frame legs that are on the Empire Strikes Back body. This is a pinless look. It's got some decent deep cut elbows on it and a single hinge at the knees here. The one thing I wish they did was glued the knee pads to the shin instead of the thigh, but that's just a nitpick. But I just love the dark green colors and the kind of weathering that's on this version of Boba Fett. It's still scratched up, but it's also got the kind of dark green paint. The emblem on the Fett crest is also very cleanly applied, as well as the Mythosaur skull on his shoulder pad there. And I'll give you all a closer look at all the details and all that stuff. Also got some nice rusty brown weathering on the rifle here. That's something that we don't get in the Black Series very often now, is extra paint or dry brushing on weapons. So this is a really awesome figure, and I hate that I waited so long to open it up because it was, when I first opened up, it was very addicting. I feel like I said about every figure I open, but it's true though. When I first open it up and I'm first getting the excitement of finally getting it in hand and seeing what it can do and the poses and stuff. But this figure just caught me by surprise, man. I always heard it was the best Boba Fett in the line, and I had this. This one was in the Galaxy packaging, and I finally got him on the Return of the Jedi card back. Very nice mint clean card as well. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to open the Galaxy packaging up because I need him loose on the shelf for the OT trilogy, the OT display. But I'm super stoked to finally have him open. But I'm gonna go over some of the more paint and accessories and stuff like that, and we'll also take a look at the awesome sculpting. Just getting started at the first accessory here. Here's a look at his EE3 rifle, the one that Luke cut in half. This is the other version. It's got some nice brown, rusty weathering effect on it. Nice sculpt. Here's that kind of greenish yellow paint to emulate that kind of soldered look from the rifle. Here's the other side. You can see there's the peg, and it just, obviously to emulate that scene, you just plug that peg up in here. It's just like a rectangle, and you just line it up, and it pegs together just like that. Oh, I have it upside down. And it pegs together just like this. So here's it together. Nice weathering. Actually, maybe I should just keep that together so it doesn't get lost. I'll put that back together. And here is a look at his little grapnel hook. This goes around his wrist, his wrist, and it's kind of pliable, so you can take it off and on pretty easily. It's not a whole lot of string material to work with here, but there's a nice little hook sculpt here. It's pretty cool. Little grapnel rope. And then getting on to some of the other accessories. His flame effect here, I love the color. The red and the yellow go together very nicely. Got a nice what transition from colors. Also like a kind of square peg here, as you can see. And it plugs right onto this piece here. Now taking a look at his blast effects, also some very nice red to yellow transition. And these just plug out like so. Just a little peg plugs right there into the back of the jetpack. Go ahead and take these off for now while I'm finagling with it. So you get two of the flame effects, or three considering the wrist flamethrower. And the jetpack does come off. It stays on pretty snug too. It hasn't come off not once for me. Once I put it on, it was pretty solid. Even messing around and posing the figure, it didn't come back. You get some nice, just giving you a look at the back of the figure. Well, I'll leave this off for a moment, actually, so we can get a look at everything. And I'm actually going to leave this in his hand because it was a pain to get this in his hand like this. So I'm just going to leave it. But you can see the beautiful sculpt and this phenomenal dry brushing, that rusty brown effect. Apart from the time he was spinning on Tatooine in Return of the Jedi, has more of an effect on weapons and stuff like that. And just starting off here, I guess we'll just start off with his jetpack. And this piece also pegs out. It comes off as well. It's a whole separate piece, his missile here. And it just plugs right back in. And some beautiful, beautiful paint. I love the weathering, the silver kind of like slight dry brushing, kind of tapping. Looks really good. Looks like metal scraped, like paint was scraped off the metal. Looks very warm. And once again, like I said earlier, I just love these colors. That yellow and blue and this kind of like red color. It's almost like a cranberry color. It's weird, but it's very nice. Pretty cleanly painted as well. Nice sculpt, but all the lines here. Clean red, clean yellow. Here's a look at the back where it pegs in. Nothing much to it. The bottom where the flame effects plug in. Beautiful jetpack. I love it. Like I said, I just showed y'all the EE3 right here. And mine does have a slight warp issue from the Galaxy packages. The plastic in there, it kind of bunched up on the left side of his helmet. So I'm going to take this head off. I've tried it once, but I just need to do it again. I popped this head off and dropped it in some hot water. I just need to apply some pressure and do some light prying, and I'll pull that out and make it a little bit wider how it should be to match this side. But that's no big deal. Got his rangefinder here, which is adjustable as well. Pretty cool. Starting off his helmet, he does have his signature dent that he got from Cad Bane. And I used to know how many there were supposed to be on his helmet. I think this is accurate. What is that? 1, 2. I can't count right now. That's really small. But I think that's pretty accurate. I love the weathering on the armor itself. There's some nice silver. Look at this clean mythosaur skull. Very nicely done. Got some slight weathering on there. Got a soft plastic cape here. Got some nice tattering and a little bit of weathering down at the bottom. Some nice folds to it. Got some nice red paint here on the back, underneath his belt here and his pouches. I like the texture on it. Again, a wash would really serve a lot of justice to this beautiful sculpt. Got the hoses right here you want to be careful for with the articulation. And here is his... I forget if these are Padawan braids or Wookiee. I think these are Wookiee braids from him hunting Wookiees or certain bounties and stuff. Might be Padawan braids. I forget which one it actually is. Look at that Fett crest right there. That is so clean, dude. That's pretty phenomenal, man. That is so nicely done. And then just looking at the gauntlets here, got some nice weathering on them as well. Also a pretty cool sculpt. Keep in mind, be careful of these hoses when you're posing. And then this gauntlet here. Look at the concussion grenade and the missiles. That's so clean. A little bit of bronze goldish paint right there. And the black, so clean, dude. And this does have gauntlet swivel, but I'll get to that in a minute. There's where the flame accessory plugs on right there. And like I said, the helmet is a little bit warped, but it looks good. It's got the dent. Seems like it's going to be good proportion when I pull this out with some hot water and some cold water treatment. Getting down here to the legs. Once again, I think this flight suit could really benefit from a dark wash. It would help bring out these pouches and pockets of his. He's got some tools and stuff like that. Nice paint on the side. Nice silver paint, very clean on the knee pads. Got some weathering as well. There's a lot of paint on this figure, man. So I can look past the wash, but I feel like it deserved it. Getting down to the feet here. Also some clean paint here. Nice natural looking folds and creases of the pants. That deep cut knee right here. It's nice. Yeah. So now we'll take a closer look at the articulation. Let me set him down and lower this a tad bit. All right. Now we're getting down to the articulation. So he can get to a full tease. Be careful with this whole piece is separate. It's glued onto this top overlay piece. This whole rubber overlay on the chest. This is a part of that. So just be careful with these. But they're glued onto the overlay. But they do have some give to them, so you can get his arms. I want to be careful with his rifle because it really was a pain, and these hoses. It really was a pain to get that on there. But he can get like a nice full T position here. I want to be careful with these hoses on the right arm. Getting down to the head articulation, he's got a little bit of tilt. Oh, a lot of tilt to the right, actually. Dang. Not really a whole lot to the right here. He can look down quite a bit. He can look up quite a bit, actually, as well. So you can get some nice posing, flying poses. He can look down a pretty fair amount, too. 360-degree rotation. Here we go. There we go. There's some head tilt in here. So you can get some straight shots like of him like lunging, posing, or something like that. That's nice. Getting down to this elbow here. See this nice deep cut. He can get right at 90. Maybe slightly below 90 here at the elbow. The gauntlet just kind of hits up against the bicep here. There is some elbow swivel right here. If you can see, this piece is separate underneath this part of the sculpt of the arm, and it connects to this single hinge right here. Pinless also, very nice and clean. So there's some elbow swivel and, well, I guess it's, yeah, elbow swivel and gauntlet swivel. So you can turn these gauntlets and adjust them as you wish. Horizontal hinge here on the left hand. Got a vertical here on the right. So go up, back and forth a little bit so you can get some nice good aiming poses and let him shoulder his EE3 fairly easy. Getting down to the legs, he can kick out right in front of him. He's got a little bit of kickback, not a whole lot. This single hinge knee right here, you can get below 90. There is also swivel at the knee, I should mention, before I forget that. Oh, thigh swivel, very nicely hidden in this sculpt with the pockets. But there is some, if you see this cut right here, there is thigh swivel, which I like on my figures. Get to a really good split, no problem. Pretty decent split. This whole rubber piece with his pouches and these pockets, this whole belt is an overlay. Some really nice texturing on this belt piece here too. Look at that. Very nice texture on that. Feet can go down about that far. Got a pretty decent little hinge right there. And they can come up a little bit as well. And there's rockers. So pretty decent articulation. I definitely see why this one is superior to The Empire Strikes Back, no problem. I can definitely see that. A lot of paint on this figure, so I understand why it was deluxe price. $33.99 for this is fair. And I'm pretty sure this was a lot of new sculpt here with the gauntlet swivel. I really dig that. There's just a lot of paint on this figure. That being said, I wish they just would have went the extra mile and did a wash on the flight suit. That would have probably made this figure damn near perfect, man. Really modern articulation. Is there butterfly joints on this? Yep, there is butterfly joint. There's a butterfly joint hidden in there. If you can see that. Oh, there we go. So there is a butterfly joint right here, as you can see. So that's nice. So a lot of modern articulation that you'd want out of a newer Boba Fett figure for sure. You can get hit with these hinges and the mobility he has in his hips. You can get a lot of cool dynamic flight poses or lunging flight poses. Very nice. A lot of paint on this figure too. Let me just say that again. There is a lot of paint on this figure. Very beautifully done. Incredible sculpting. Super happy I opened Boba Fett up finally. He's no good to me dead. Y'all know I always like to give y'all a side-by-side comparison. It's one of my favorite part of my reviews. It's just so fun. And it gives you an idea of the scale and just kind of makes it feel more real when you have all the characters next to each other. But here on the right is the Power of the Force Greedo. And on the left, obviously, is General Lando. Now standing on the right is Dengar, which he was kind of like one of Boba's early mentors. And on the left is the 2020 Stormtrooper. Now sharing the stage with Boba on the left is Zuckuss. You know, I almost called him Forlom just to be funny for some of you OT people. But on the left is Zuckuss, and on the right is 4LOM or Forlom. Here on the right is the Kenobi version of Vader, and on the left is the 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker. And then off of the side-by-sides here on the right is the newer version of Boba Fett. This is, the packaging was the Book of Boba Fett subline, but this is actually more of a Mandalorian-based version of Boba. But still a very awesome figure, very cool and fun to pose around with. I still need to get the Jedi, the Tython Jedi Ruins one. It's basically this. It's this same exact figure, except for it's got way more weathering on the armor and stuff like that. It's not got the repaint that he did later on in the season. But yeah, that'll be it. This is it for the side-by-sides. Well, y'all, that is my take on the Return of the Jedi Galaxy package in Boba Fett. Just phenomenal figure. A whole lot of paint on this figure. Let me fix this real quick because that's going to bother me. But a whole lot of paint on this figure. Really decent modern articulation. To me, this is my favorite version of Boba Fett. A very definitive version. Good representation for the Return of the Jedi outfit and costume, and just the nostalgia part of Return of the Jedi. It's probably one of my favorite Star Wars movies of all time. Empire Strikes Back is probably the better film, but Return of the Jedi is just my favorite. Your favorite doesn't have to be the better one, you know? That's not no big deal. But awesome articulation, a whole lot of paint on this figure, and I just couldn't be happier, man. I'm so happy to get him in my OT section of my shelf. He's going to look fantastic. Really excited to get Bosk, and I wish they would do a new version of IG-88. I would love to do a diorama of all the bounty hunters in Empire Strikes Back on Vader's command bridge. Obviously, I couldn't use this. I could use this Boba Fett, but it wouldn't be screen accurate. I would definitely have to pick up the ESB version of Boba, but I would love to set that up as a diorama. I feel like that would be so badass. Kind of like, if you're watching this, you probably heard of Luteness Monster, but he's kind of got one that he 3D printed and makeshifted for now. But I love this figure, man. Totally recommend picking this up. Very satisfied. So much fun to pose around with. All the accessories. It's just a lot of possibilities with the posing. And if you have a flight stand, it just makes it even more addicting. Even more addicting, man. But that pretty much wraps it up for this review, y'all. I really appreciate you tuning in. Do a lot of Black Series. Do a lot of Black Series videos, mostly. Every once in a while, I'll throw up a Marvel Legends. I find myself, I've been dabbling in other lines. I always told myself I wasn't going to do that, but, you know, here we are. I'm sure some of you other collectors know all about that. But thank you for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Like and subscribe. I hope you're all having a good day or night whenever you're watching us. May the Force be with you.